Hello, hello, hello. How are we all? Hello, everybody. Hope you're well. With this splendid Monday evening, and in the world of Facebooks at the back there, hello to everybody in the groups and on the pages, and hello to LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter as well. Down here, I've got Instagram and TikTok. So a few people may jump on and ask some questions at some point. I'm Terry James. I am a holistic mindset coach and digital entrepreneur. I'm also the host and trainer and founder of Reboot U22 from within my group, the Personal Freedom Movement. So we're on a mission. We've started our training. We've just finished our first week's series of trainings. So that's cool. So I've got a little bit of a let off now. I've got a lot of work to do in the background preparing for the next. A lot of value that we have to give for our 10 rebooters. So that's cool. So we started off with a welcome party just to find out how everyone is, when's everyone available, and exactly how we're going to set up and post everything into our private chats and what have you, and what to expect. Then we did what I'm going to do for you here tonight. In brief, I'm going to share my screen, I'm going to show you some slides, and we're going to talk about anxiety, why we suffer in the way that we do. It's a really, really important one. I learned this stuff about 4 years ago. As soon as I learned about how the body and the mind work, why we suffer with OCDs, anxiety, depression, stress, and the way that we do, it opened my eyes to a lot of things. At first, I was quite angry. I was like, why the hell didn't anyone tell us this before? But that's knowledge for us, right? And there's a reason why we only get kind of exposed to certain things, and why certain people, successful people, will have got certain knowledge and understanding about certain things, life, finance, wealth creation, mindset, psychology, and why a lot of the rest of us don't get the memo. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into a screen share. He says, can I do this? Can I do this nice and easily? Dun, 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 dun. Oh yeah, I can do this. Lovely. There we go. So you should be seeing that on Facebook. You guys over here won't get to see it, but you'll get to see me talking. So how's the brain work? Why do we suffer in the way that we do? More importantly, what can we do about it? So here's the brain. We have a look at the brain. The bit at the front is where the conscious part, the prefrontal cortex, and that's where you are. That's where our conscious mind is. That's the part of us that interacts with the world and allows us what's going on. Is when we're present, is when we're actually the ones in control of our thoughts, and it's not our subconscious taking over. But there is a primitive part. The primitive part of the brain is made up of three very important parts: the amygdala, which is known as the fight, flight, or freeze area of the brain; the hippocampus, which is storing all of our behaviorals and inappropriate behavior sometimes, and the hypothalamus is regulating and distributing the chemical responses in the body and mind. So altogether, these are what regulate our old primitive brain, the fight, flight, or freeze, to keep us alive in our lives. Ooh, lost the cursor. So what would happen if wherever you are right now, when you're about to leave your house, there's a polar bear running around outside your house? Well, first of all, your anxiety is going to shoot up. You have churn in your stomach, heartbeat will increase. You'll be off like a shot. And in those circumstances, you'll probably be quite pleased about that, wouldn't you, really? But in modern day society, we have these panic attacks, we have anxiety, we have all these things that happen to us, but they're triggered by things that aren't in. For instance, it's not in. You don't need to be fearful. You're going to have anxiety about something like a polar bear, but about you missing the TV program. So we need to be really, really clear about why and what's happening in our bodies when it comes to having chemical responses, having fear, having stress. Well, what did cavemen do? Well, cavemen, if they couldn't go out and hunt or gather, if there was ice, snow, danger all around, they wouldn't go out. So in modern day symptoms, that's attributed to being depressed, because you were going to hibernation, you're trying to save yourself energy, you're trying to avoid certain things. And that's right. If you're in danger, your mind's going to be on high alert all the time. You're going to be vigilant. Your brain can't be of intellect. It can't be innovative. It has to refer to the old previous patterns of behavior to keep you alive, essentially. Keep losing my little cursor. So if we can't go out and we can't do things, if we're told to stay at home because of one reason or another, what's going to happen? We're going to end up with low mood. We're going to end up worrying about things. We're going to feel stressed. We're actually going to start sewering our minds and worrying about things that are or aren't happening. And our body doesn't know the difference between what we're doing. So we can be negatively thinking. And what happens about every negative thought that happens, that we have, every negative thought that we have is converted into anxiety, and we store it. We store all that stress in a bucket in our tummies. And there's lots of different ways of us overthinking things. We can be thinking in the past, worrying about stuff, and that could be depression. We could be thinking in the future, and this is anxiety. But let's remember, when we're worrying about little things and big things that are happening in our lives, a lot of the time those things aren't going to probably happen. Let's think, if you're worrying about little things, about having a baby, getting a partner, or paying the bills, or it could be something big. It could be like a meeting or something like that. And let's have a look at a meeting. Meetings generally go okay, don't they? But being us humans, we'll think about 50 different versions of how that meeting's going to play out. 50 of them are going to be disasters. So we have the meeting, it goes well. Our mind thinks we've had 51 meetings, but we're probably then going to start ruminating, which means overthinking about all the different things we could have did, things we could have said differently, things interjecting about how other people might have perceived some of the things we said. So now our mind thinks there's 101 meetings. It doesn't know the difference between the one meeting that was fine and the other 100 that were very, very different. Now they're all just muddled together. And this is the power of our minds. We don't know the difference between what we're thinking and inventing, our imagination, and actually the reality that we've actually experienced. So do we know about REM sleep? Do we know about rapid eye movement and the importance of it? So what happens is we have situations, things happen during the day. It might be might be you have an argument with someone or something annoys you at work, and then during your sleep patterns at night, you change them from that narrative of an emotional memory, and you change it and move it from that intellectual part of the brain to the from the primitive part of the brain to the intellectual part of the brain, where you've got more control over it. I struggle to get my words out there. And then it doesn't seem as bad. So you could tell your partner, come home and go, oh, so-and-so's done this at work and really, really annoyed me. And they'll say, oh, don't worry about it. Sleep on it. Probably be all right tomorrow. So you'll then go to bed. You'll defragment it in your sleep. You wake up in the morning, you've either forgotten about it, or you might just think to yourself, why do I let them piss me off like I do? So REM sleep is really, really important. Also about REM sleep, we'll know if we've got too much in our stress buckets, because sometimes our stress bucket will overflow. And if it's going to overflow, what will happen when we're in a REM sleep cycle is it'll wake us up. Unfortunately, REM sleep is really, really important for us, and it's exhausting for our bodies. Our REM sleep cycle contributes to about 20% of our sleeping pattern. But if you've got stuff going on and you're not sleeping, your chances are you're going to wake up in the middle of the night, and it might be that you wake up wide awake and you can't get back to sleep, but you're knackered. So if it's this that happens to you, and it's not just like the dog's barked or the neighbour's alarms going off in his car or baby crying, that kind of thing, you can just go straight back to sleep. But if you can't, it's because something's essentially on your mind, or something's bothering you, something's piling out of your stress bucket. So you can imagine how you get into a bit of a vicious circle, because you'll be encouraged to be more negative and to be more low mood, low vibe. If you're fatigued, if you're tired, if you're not sleeping, you're basically going to find more things to get stressed out and be annoyed about and create more anxiety. So how do we snap ourselves out of this? Well, first of all, we need to find a way of us bringing ourselves back into presence, like a present moment. Actually, early man and women had evolutionary processes which helped them to deal with these things, because it's very, very well known, scientists are adamant that there was a lot of rewards for people being in tribes rather than being on their own, because you get motivated to help one another. Excuse me. Real tickly throat. Just done a hypno session, so I've been talking for about an hour, so my voice has gone a bit. The other evolutionary processes are the fact that we would hunt and gather and support one another's in our community. So it helps us with fear, helps us with physical strength, and even helps us deal with pain at times, because we're not on our own. So where does that stand with these days where we are? Well, if cavemen knew they had to do certain things to keep themselves, one, accountable, even more so keep themselves positive, moving, there's certain positive parameters of living life that they're going to have to cover themselves. And that is, they need to think positively, they need to act positively, and interact positively. The secret of the 3 Ps. So why would we need to do these things? Why do we need to think positively, act and interact positively? Well, when we do those things, we're happy, brave, coping little souls, and we have a flow of serotonin. Serotonin, like many neurotransmitters, is probably one, or if not the most important, the one that you hear most of the time, because it's the one that contributes to our happy place. It's our happy, feel good chemicals that we release. And by having positive thoughts, interaction, moving around, activities, doing nice things for ourselves and others, we actually create a constant flow of serotonin. And there are other adrenalines and endorphins and hormones that get released. And that's why it's an important thing about good gut health, because did you know that your gut actually produces and distributes most of your hormones and chemicals? And we do this within our sleep cycles at night. So if that's what's going to keep us happy and happy, brave, coping little souls, what's going to upset that? Well, if you're down a depressed end, you don't actually produce any chemicals at all. And if you've got anxiety, because it's a fight, flight, or freeze, and it's your body and you wanting to keep yourself alive, you actually have an overload of adrenalines, which is great when you've got polar bears running around, but not so great when you're stood in Sainsbury's, you realise that you've not got enough money to pay your bill, or you're facing redundancy or something at work. But we know, because of people dealing with stress, say for instance uni students, we know that uni students aren't running around having panic attacks and suffering from anxiety all the time. So it's not actually just the stress in our everyday lives, it's actually to do with our thoughts of how we're creating this for ourselves. Keep losing that little cursor. Where is he gone? So if you find yourself having panic attacks, if you find yourself ruminating and sewering your thoughts, stop. Tell yourself, stop. Oh, found another way to move it. And a quick way to snap yourself out of it and bring you back into the present moment is to focus on your breathing. There's a few ways we can do this, and I'm going to share a few of them with you now. Stop and breathe. This breath work is one that immediately takes you out of fight or flight. It activates the vagus nerve in your heart center and immediately takes you out of that state. It's actually very, very widely used before doing hypnosis, meditations, and it's a letting go tool, letting go of thinking. Because that's all anxiety and depression is. OCDs, PTSDs, all of these personality disorders. Whether you think you are or you think you aren't, you're probably right. So if you're accepting diagnosis and that you're this and you're that and you've got this label and you've got that, you're creating spells for yourself. You're creating all of that for yourself. So be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be really, really aware of language. What I might do, actually, I might do that in a second. I'll read out a little bit of a language pattern that I use with people, which is putting in good feeling thoughts, quantum questions, and also it's a lovely, lovely language to start getting used to hearing and speaking to yourself, because it opens up your mind. It opens up the possibility of this infinite experience that we're actually having. So quick breath work if you want to just reset yourself. Breathing in through your nose, filling up your belly, filling up your chest, holding it in, holding it in, holding it in, then slowly releasing from your belly through your nose. We'll do it 3 times. I'll do it 2 more times. Filling up your belly, filling up your chest. We're all upper lung breathers. We need to be filling up our bellies, breathing properly, conscious abdominal breath work, and then releasing through your nose. You do that 3 times. Another good thing, if you still notice there's monkey chatter going around, really focus on your breathing, because when you're focused on your breathing and then you're counting and letting go, it's really hard to actually have thoughts. But if you've been really, really well trained, like most of us have to be overthinking all the time, it's going to take practice. It's going to take a little bit of flexing that muscle to build up that muscle in your mind. So you can say to yourself, stop thinking, no thinking, no thought. You could even swear and tell yourself to shut up if you like. That used to have to work for me at the beginning. I was like, no thinking. I give myself permission to let go. No thinking, no thoughts. Bringing yourself back to the conscious, bringing yourself back to the present moment. Other things you can do actually is a quick hack for anxiety is because we want to get back into the present. Because if we're overthinking in the future, it's anxiety. If we're thinking in the past, it's depression. But what we want is we want to be present in the gift of the moment. How do we do that? We have to be thinking from our conscious, not our subconscious, not allowing ourselves just to ruminate and observing and jumping in consciously to all the thoughts that our mind's having, because that's not going to serve us. What we need to be doing is not jumping into the traffic with the cars. We need to be observing those thoughts and watching that traffic go by, because we are not our thinking. And some of the thoughts that we have been programmed in there by TV, by other people, by family members, by traumas, by being bullied, by limiting beliefs that we held. That's what our makeup of our own personalities and what we believe or don't believe is possible for us all stems from our personality bias and our limiting beliefs, the talk, our self-talk. So by us snapping out of that and focusing on a few things, so you could basically be thinking, I need to get back in the present, and you'd look around your room and you might say, okay, light bulb, it's got a green lampshade on it. Okay, that's cool. I've got the cat, animals, nature, really grounding, really, really good to keeping yourself present. But just looking around, looking at a few things, looking at a color of something, and then saying a couple of things. It might be sofa's green, sofa's comfortable. I like the sofa. Saying about what you're grateful for, what you're thankful for, what you love. So you might be like, I really love my cat, and giving him a smush. Seeing someone walk past and focus on them for a quick second, and then focus onto the tree, green leaves. These things are going to bring you back into the present moment, and really, really strong and powerful for snapping yourself out of that fight, flight, from panic, from anxiety. Ha ha ha. So you see there, it would usually be after this. I can come out of screen share actually. Yay. What? There we go. Back there. Lovely. Cool. I think I've come back for the right one. So, got a load of questions on here. That's cool. Let's answer some questions for you guys. My meditation brings me to the present moment. It does. Do you know the difference between meditations and hypnosis? Meditation just means to focus upon. That's what meditation means. To focus upon. Simple as. So meditation is really, really good for relaxation. Meditation is really good for grounding because it's a guided meditation. All meditations are doing when they're guided is that they're practicing, because you look at Tibetan monks and other kind of spiritual leaders, they will meditate without the aid of anything else. So I can do that now, but not for very long before my own voice comes in. But I can reset myself. I could be stood somewhere. There could be some stuff going around behind me, people's energy, people's vibes, that kind of thing. And I could be thinking, God, blimey, I could have like tingling the naggles in my head and thinking, I want to get away from this. So what I do is I can just breathe. No, I'm doing it. No thinking, nothing, just completely blank, just reset. Say kind, positive thoughts to myself, throwing out good vibes, feeling from my heart center and throwing love out. Someone said something about gut feeling as well. Gut feeling, intuition is your gut feelings. Actually, your gut is your biggest brain, and we're not in connection with our emotional body. We actually bury a lot of our traumas and stuff in our bellies because we would have been told from a young age just to suck it up. Deep breath. Come on, you'll be all right. Come on, breathe it in. So what happens is we don't normally breathe like that. We'll go and we'll hold it down. So all that trauma, all that energy, all that emotion, we're then burying in our bellies. So it's no wonder that so many people that have got mental health issues and what have you are carrying a lot of weight or these kind of things. So it's a comfort thing. We're eating to make ourselves feel better. We're getting dopamine hits and stuff like that from picking up phones and from doing stuff that isn't really serving us. And then what happens is we have this protective layer around us. So you can literally have such a thing as like think yourself in. And that's about like intentionality. Because if you're like being kind to yourself and loving yourself with nourishing food and beverages, you're naturally going to step towards what is a more favorable environment for your body and mind. And you're going to let go of stuff that isn't serving you. Katerina is incredibly finding this very interesting, listening whilst building up her serotonin on the on the basically cycling in the gym. Okay, that's cool. Good to have you on. Yeah, our minds are always, and this is me now going a cappella. Our minds are always listening and taking orders from us. I've done hypnotherapy as a hypnotherapist, solution focused, and life coaching for 4 years. Since doing NLP practitioner course with neuro linguistic programming and some deep spiritual self development work, and with working with other people over the past couple of years, I've learned a few things. And some of the things I've learned are from self development books, where then it crosses over with law of attraction, which law of attraction is where thoughts go, energy flows. So you need to be believing in yourself, speaking kindly to yourself, and believing the things that you can do. But it doesn't tell you that in these books. It doesn't tell you about it being about spirituality, about oneness, about wellness, and it being maybe sometimes a little bit woo woo. But it all comes back to the same thing about your belief systems, about you believing what's possible, about the way in which you talk to yourself, the disciplines and the compound effect that you have by actually having good daily routines, by practicing gratitude, being grateful, spreading love, raising your vibration essentially. Because if you raise your vibration, because we've been indoctrinated to be low vibrational beings, and we are dimensional beings. We're not on this physical plane, and it's not all kind of black and white. You live, you die. You know, we're all energy, and our language, our communication is only like 10%. The other 90% is all through kinesthetics, which means like emotions, feelings, body language, energy, vibration. So it's super, super powerful. So your mind's always listening and taking orders from you. Where your attention goes, where thoughts go, energy flows. So what sort of things can we be doing to attribute to a happy you? Well, speaking kindly to ourselves, using relaxation techniques, getting enough sleep, good hydration, good food, all of these things contribute to a happy life. Yeah, okay, not everyone's perfect, and not saying to anyone, no, don't ever drink alcohol, don't ever have a McDonald's anymore. But it's about moderation and balance as well. So where was I and where did I come from to actually learn this stuff? Well, I was a party boy, a townie, a avid footballer, beer drinker, loved getting on the gear, going out with mates, partying, clubbing, all these sort of things up to like my mid-30s. Then after that, a few things changed. I was living in Spain. I'd lived in Spain my whole 30s actually. But I started noticing the people around me, and I was thinking, God, this feels the same as when I was like 20. And I realized if I didn't do certain things, I'd still be in the same pub and doing the same thing with the same people. So I need to make some changes. And I thought, shit, I need to level up again. Wasn't happy in my relationship, wasn't happy with a lot of people I was hanging around, and realized that I was giving a lot to people, and I didn't like a lot of those people, to be fair, and I didn't trust them. So I went about changing, broke up from a relationship which ended quite painfully, with losing babies and things like that. And I wanted to understand why I was feeling anxious and depressed, why I was very, very depressed. But the only way I was getting through it, and had a bad relationship with alcohol, so I'd literally just use alcohol to mask the pain and then just party on. I was always on a stage. I was behind the bar, or I was DJing. It's very easy to be the man about town, be Jack the lad, and so I didn't realise how much ego was there protecting me. So it's only actually the last year that I've done work around ego to learn more about internal confidence and external confidence. Well, your ego is just there to protect you. It's just a mask. We all wear many, many masks. The mask that I'm wearing now isn't a true representation of me. I'm actually a lot more fun than this, and I don't talk this seriously. I like to muck around. I like to tell jokes. I've got a dirty mind. What can I say? But and also I'm here to want to help people. Finding that alignment, finding that kind of who you can help, and being in the right place to help them is really important, because otherwise you can spend your whole life basically talking to nobody, feeling alone. And a lot of us suffer with feeling alone, I think. But the things that make us individuals are quite often the things that make us the same. You know, we've all been born into a society basically built on a false paradigm, on a lot of rules, societal rules, and the rules that we're kind of born into. You know, some people just say, well, that's life, get on with it. But I think we do get a choice. We do get to choose. we can choose to, yeah, thank you. Someone just said we are all one. We are all one. Consciously wise, the universe is like one big consciousness. Unfortunately, our consciousness has been sewered as humans. And I think even going back thousands of years, I think the collective consciousness then was probably a lot higher, a lot more aware than now. There's probably some sort of event that happened which meant, you know, the population went down drastically and never really bounced back fully, possibly. You know, talking about Aztec pyramids and all that kind of stuff. But where are we now? So I was angry. I was a narcissistic, controlling person in a relationship. I was unhappy. I was very self-centered, very selfish in a negative way. I was only ever thinking about me and what I wanted. Now, to a detriment to that, I'm probably thinking about how I can serve people all the time, and then how that's going to allow me to do the things that I want to do. There is a sweet spot, and as soon as I've hit that sweet spot, I'll let you all know, guys. So I came back to the UK. I knew whatever I was doing, I needed to come back to the UK. I came back for a weekend, and by divine timing, a lady unplugged me. There was a spiritual lady that was helping my sister at her house with something, and within 30 seconds, she unplugged me, and it was like, wow, my life was about to begin. So I came back, I spoke to the ex at the time and was like, wow. And I was kind of thinking at the time, oh, this spiritual stuff, and we're going to do this and we do that, and explains everything, and I'm going to get better. You blame me for this, and I'm going to fix myself, and blah, 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 blah. Nah, I was going to fix myself, and I was going to do it on my own on the journey. And so I left Spain, and I moved back to England. Within 6-7 months, I started doing a hypnotherapy course. A few months after that, I was doing a fitness and fun class at the time. I was working multiple jobs. I was doing charity work. I was doing a lot of work with men's health with the Calm Zone, which is the prevention of male suicide. Was it Calm is Campaign Against Living Miserably, is what that stands for. So I started working with people doing hypnotherapy, and essentially the hypnotherapy work I was doing was to be solution focused, positive language, reprogramming ourselves. I wasn't 100% sure about as much knowledge I have now, because all the other courses and bits that I've learned have brought it all in together. Now, language, breathing is so important, because a lot of us don't even breathe properly. And when we take deep breaths in, our head goes all light and we think that's something wrong. No, it's probably how we're supposed to feel more often, because by us not breathing properly, by us sewing our bodies with chemicals and drugs and alcohol, let alone what's in our foods and stuff that we eat, even in our water, fluoride thing. There's things it deliberately put in certain places, because what happens is they create mutations in the body that make us ill. And the body that's not at ease is in disease. And of course, if you're in disease, then you're going to have mutations and it creates diseases. So why wouldn't we go on a health kick? Why wouldn't we get good nutrition, good food, good feeling thoughts? Well, of course, the first thing, everything starts as a thought. Everything that ever came into existence, the power of your mind is your superpower. And most people are completely unaware of that, completely unaware. I am doing a course on mental first aid, and all of what you've been saying make more sense now than ever. Ding dong. Excellent. Thank you very much. Keeping the dream alive, spreading the good vibes and the knowledge. So we're in a digital and a knowledge boom. We were. That's thanks to the internet. Now it's Web 3.0. It's going crazy, but exciting time to be alive. We do live in living hell. We live in hell on earth, if you choose. But we are surrounded by this thing called abundance, which just means more. So when you're doing law of attraction stuff, be careful when you say, oh, I want abundance, because if you're sat in a pile of shit and you're not happy and you go, I want abundance and I'm happy for abundance, you're going to get more shit. So you have to be really, really clear and concise about what it is you want. Language is so important. We're basically language, and what was spoken and written and projecting out there in energy is the secret source to life. And that starts with your own thinking, the relationship you have with yourself. So before you get your perfect partner, and this is something that I was toying with the other night, I'd quite like to open up a program to help single guys that might be, basically, it would be where I was for basically most of my life, looking at myself thinking I'm an ugly, fat, unworthy, unlovable human that's just a monster. And was just pretending at being popular or going out and doing all these things, being not feeling sexy and sassy and confident. And that's the secret source. Because like with guys, if I don't think, yeah, okay, women care about what blokes look like, but it's not as brutal as the other way round. So if a guy's got certain attributes, if a guy's funny, charismatic, good energy, smiley, makes you feel great, people don't remember what you say, they remember how you make them feel. And I thought, well, maybe there's a space there for me to help some guys that could, and I thought, why I hadn't thought this before after doing the work with the campaign against living miserably, prevention of male suicide, because it's very hard time to be a guy right now. And it's been like this for a few years because guys don't really know where they stand now. You got to be this, you got to be that, you got to be soft, you got to be strong, you got to be this, you got to be that. You're replaceable. We're not needed. Tough times. But what I thought I could do is, because I understand being in bad relationships, I understand that, and even this goes for women too, if you're not 100% clear in your own product and happy with yourself, chances are you're going to keep attracting people that mirror what you're lacking within you. So you could end up being on a 10, 20-year cycle where you think you're just going out with the same person over and over again because they end up being narcissistic, or they start off all nice at first because we're all on a bloody interview, aren't we, for ages. And then depending on how much we like them, we make allowances for other stuff that's going on. But a lot of that's based upon our model. Are we just looking at people to go, I like that, I don't like that, I could change that, can I model that? Whereas if people are really like kind of unapologetically and authentically themselves, you're not second guessing anything. Okay, you got to love people for who they are, and also accept that everybody has quirks and ticks and that kind of thing. And the reason for that is because of the way that we're brought into this world, the way we're brought into this society where everything, the religious systems, the financial system, the education system, all systems, pharmaceutical system, everything's geared up to create more victims, which are going to basically just carry along with the narrative, just being worker bees, paying their taxes, paying into society. So where have we got to now in existence? Well, we're stretching the resources out, aren't we, guys? We're stretching the resources. We're not, we're really crap at the whole human being part. We're not being as much. A lot of what we do is just fake and false representation of real stuff. And also, we think that the first thing that we see on the news, or the first thing we see on telly, that we think it's real. Well, most of it are programs, right? Most of it's programs. It's not real. The most real that we can have is by staying present, by expressing gratitude to the things that we love and like in our lives, shining light on those moments. One of the things I've been going through with my guys in the Reboot You 22 group, the 9-week program, was about the use of language, about our self-talk, and about how we highlight and how we become the good coach to ourselves when we realize that we're sewering ourselves, that we're basically the victims and the abusers in our own lives. And most people are like that their whole lives. We end up being very bitter, twisted. I've got a real admiration for people that just seem to have their shit together and are positive and get on with things. I mean, what goes on in their mind? Where do they get their education from? Where did they know how to kind of self-realize or have that what would you call it? Self-regulation. Because essentially you've got your higher self, you've got your mental mind, you've got your physical mind, you've got your emotional mind. And we have voices in our heads. We have voices talking to us. We have intuition. We have guides. We have angels. Whether you want to call it crazy, possibly, but it's all there. And whether you believe it so or whether you believe it not, it's absolutely true. So I tell you, the monsters are real. They are. But also the magic. The magic is real too. Because if you shine your light in the dark corners, you're going to see stuff that's hiding there. If you're fixated and you're, happy in yourself and telling yourself nice things and stepping towards what you want, not focused on what you don't want and then wonder why that shit keeps showing up, it's super, super important to have that self-regulation. And where it really comes is like any religion, apart from, I think, religious institutions are banks, essentially. But I think we're all talking from the same hymn sheet, pardon the pun. And that is to whatever we focus on, we're sharing love. We need to be kind and help one another. Of course, that starts at home, doesn't it? We need to help ourselves. And if helping ourselves and being selfish, just putting ourselves first, selfish isn't a bad word. It's just to be selfish. It's about putting yourself first, or what you need first. You need to fill your own cup up. Then you can help other people. And if you don't, you're always going to be lacking. If you're someone that's basically searching for happiness, says, I just want to be happy, you're gonna be depressed most of your life. If you're searching for happiness, you're going to struggle to find it, because happiness starts from within. There's only really 3 emotions: anger, sadness, and fear. The rest are useless emotions: guilt, shame, regret. They're bullshit emotions. It's all anger, sadness, and fear. Or joy and love, which is the same thing essentially. So it's love or anger, sadness, and fear, and everything falls into a category. So if you're not attributing to what you want to experience and influencing and being influenced by, then the chances are you're low vibing. And we won't get too much into vibrational energy, but we're like batteries. So if you're high vibing, if you're eating good food, nourishing yourself with nourishing food, loving yourself with nourishing food and beverages, you're going to raise your vibration. If we have this collective consciousness and this collective vibration of our planet, well, most people are pretty miserable. Misery likes company. And there's a reason why that people are focused on negative things and negative bias, is so that we can experience more. Because time flies when we're having fun. And if we're having fun all the time, we would literally be in and out of this existence like a rocket. So we need to have some sort of friction, some sort of resistance, some sort of limitation, so that we can experience anything. But anything and no thing is happening all the time. It just depends on where you focus. Simples. So I've been 35 minutes. I've had a few people on across the different channels. Hope you're enjoying what we're doing. So what else can I tell you? Well, a mentor of mine, and I've done like an audio club with him for the last couple of years, a clinical hypnotherapist, and one of the most requested or referred, well, either way, hypnosis guys on the planet. And really, really good, really, really good. And it's all about turning your power on, essentially. So if we make self-love go viral, how do we do that? Well, we all have wonderful gifts inside us, and we want each and every single person on this planet to allow their unique flower blossom and bloom, celebrating everybody's gifts. Sometimes people have spiritual gifts. Actually, we all have. Every single person has. It's just whether or not you're going to activate and turn them on and focus on them. If you're going to focus on the bad things in your life, you're focused on taking drugs and having sex and watching porn and being addicted to all these things. It's all low vibrational stuff. But that's fine. And it's no one's fault. It's no one's blame. But it is your responsibility to do something about that shit once you become aware of it. Some people aren't meant to be aware. Some people aren't meant to be unplugged from the matrix, and some people couldn't handle it. I think it's a lot easier for some people, what's going on in the world right now, and you can't talk about jack shit, is to kind of be an ostrich, bury your head in the sand and be like, well, it's easy to blame people, isn't it? And trust that these institutions are there for our greater good, rather than some like Babylonian or Luciferian kind of agenda. But that's by the by, whether it is, whether it isn't. You know, I know what I believe, I know what I see, but what I see and what you see might be completely different. But what I do feel is that my life is completely different from the angry person that hated the world and didn't really want to be here. But I felt like I was in the wrong skin. Now that someone that's awake and aware now, I know that, wow, I was really, really connected with my soul. And I was probably picking up on things from other people. And I was probably more connected with vibrationally and dimensionally what was going on. So at the time, I just felt confused because I was feeling this and people are saying that. And I was like, well, that ain't true. And that seems like bullshit. But they were telling me I was wrong and something was wrong with me. But there's nothing wrong with any of us. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with me. We're all becoming. But where we choose to focus is what's going to show up. So whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably right. If you want things in your life that you've never had or experienced, you're going to have to start doing stuff that you've never done. And are you prepared to work hard for a couple of years like nobody does, so you can live the rest of your life like no one can? If you can do those things, I think you need to come over to my private club. of awake people, entrepreneurs, people there to disrupt the narrative, people there that want to make digital income. Freedom, essentially, is what we're talking about. We want freedom. And what level of freedom are you after? Is it time, financial? Is it location? I want all of them. I'm greedy. But actually, the first freedoms that we do have is choice. And we are free. We're all born as free people. Unfortunately, we're then, as soon as we're born, we're registered. We're put in boxes. We're labelled with things. We're pushed in, told to stand in queues. We're told to look, stand, think in a certain way. Now, that's where we've gone wrong. And again, it's no one's fault. It's no one we can blame, because it's a thing that's happened over generations. But what we can do now, because of this wonderful thing called the internet, that we can share our knowledge, we can actually get together with like minds, we can actually experience new things. And please do rule of three. Rule of three, basically, if someone says something, just check out the information, read between the lines. You know, we live in a perfect equation, is in universe and how everything works, and universal law and quantum mechanics and fields and all these wonderful stuff, but heart and brain coherence, how science has caught up with spirituality. I don't even think there is such a thing called spirituality. We think of spirituality like, oh, woo-woo behind religion. And what is religion? Well, it's all spirituality, and all spirituality means is to that cannot be portrayed with words. So every kind of religious or god or term to a deity, it's all one and the same, or all versions of it. So I think there are many gods, but if we're all energy, I believe and I know that we are in fact gods. So if we're like worshipping this one and, you know, thank you very much and praying to someone, we need to change the language, because we've been indoctrinated to do it in a way that law of attraction doesn't work. Because we're doing it from lack. We're doing it from ourselves, externalizing happiness and everything we want, thinking, oh, if I do this, I'm going to get that. That ain't how it works, people. You got to feel it, believe it, you got to be it, and then you see it. None of this fake it to make it bullshit. Say that, fake it to make it, and you'll be still doing it in 20 years' time. But you got to be it to see it, you got to feel it, be it, see it. That's the sweet spot. And there's certain things we can do about it. There's nice breath works that we can do for relaxation, but essentially less is more. I mean, in entrepreneurship and with people with side hustles and making money online, and the people that I hang around with, some people, when my early days would very much be like, yeah, it's all about the hustle. It's all about the grind. You got to put the hours in, you know, sleep less. You can sleep when you're dead. You can wake up early, 5 o'clock in the morning. I want you up. I want you in a cold shower. And I'm like, fuck, that's not me. I like sleep. I like to stay up late and sleep in. But then someone would say, you're just in the wrong time zone then, dude, which I felt quite funny. But essentially, it's all up to us, whether it be circadian rhythm, like not eating before bedtime so you've got good gut health, making sure you do like, you know, thinking about what's been good before you go to bed, making sure that you know what you're going to do the next day before. You're not thinking about it when you're going to bed going, oh, there's so much to do, I'll wake up. And then you're, oh, I'm stressing, going to bed. And then you wake up stressing, trying to get out the door. That's one of the worst things that we can do for ourselves is stress. Stress is so, so dangerous. And of course, it's thinking, isn't it? So, right, I hope you find that useful. If you're watching this at some point, and obviously it's not live now, if you're watching it back, then put hashtag replay for me. There we go. Oh, lost my shoe. Hashtag replay. Put in something that you liked. It's always my pleasure to share this stuff with you. If you want to know more about hypno, anxiety relief, things that we could be doing, just reach out in a DM. I'm happy to speak, to connect, and point people in the right direction. I can even put you into a group which has got some resources in there. That's cool. Because at the end of the day, it really creams my corn. It really gets on my bag of dicks that so many people use anxiety and mental health issues as an excuse to hold them back in life. And it's not a death sentence. The fact that you're choosing to use it as such or using it as an excuse is the number one thing that's going to hold most people back. But it's not a death sentence. I could sit here and go, oh, this happened, I've had that happen, and I've got ADHD and all that. But I was of the age who didn't have these labels when I was young. I was just a little shit. I was just a problem child. That's what I was. And now I know, of course, all those things attribute to being very high energy, very well connected, and not being in alignment. So now I'm in alignment. Now I'm pretty cool. Yeah, I get excitable, and I'm not going to beat myself up for going out and having a drink and doing what I want to do. But I know I've got to go and love my body, love my muscles. I've got to drink the best water on the planet, and that's what I do. That's my online business as an affiliate marketer. I also help people through this medium of coaching, mentoring, doing inspirational content, or just sharing knowledge about things and helping. And you help enough people, then enough people are going to help you, right? So that's kind of what I'm here. So thank you very much for the 5 of you that are still on. Chuck us in before I get off, chuck us in a comment quickly and chuck us a few likes. Push that algorithm, guys. Push it. So when we're on TikTok, actually, people are always like going, right, like me, share me. Different culture, TikTok. It really is. TikTok is a funny old place. It reminds me of like being on a game show, a National Geographic, and a porn site all at the same time. Very, very smutty and funny. Oh, and a bit like Takeshi's Castle and that kind of game show host things. Right, I'm going to come off of there. Instagram, goodbye. Yeah. End. Yeah, it was a good one. Right, thank you very much. Whoever's still on there, I'm going to... Hello, Michelle. I'm giving you a follow, darling. Thank you for jumping on. I hope you found it useful. And I will speak to you soon. So stay in contact, my lovely. Right, ending live. One other thing I do on TikTok actually is because it actually saves it automatically on my phone. And then when I'm actually using my phone, when I'm populating like my own app and my private subscription channel, thank you for the heart up on there. Thank you. It's nice to see those things. Somebody loves me. And it's not my mum. Well, she does. It's just that isn't my mum. It allows me to have a really, really nice portrait video, whereas what you're watching on right now when I'm staring into this bad boy is through the laptop. So it's through a studio, whereas on the phone, and it's actually funny enough, actually, the new iPhones and that, you can't beat the audio and the recording software on them. But I've got this like little, what is it called? It's like a Nikon camera or something, and it's a few £100 worth. Very good. It's a fucking pain in the ass to use. The software is difficult. And my iPhone looks better. It does, honestly. It looks better. Really enjoyed it. Could always listen to you all day. I wish more people would, mate. I've got a Clubhouse rooms. It's not got much traction at the moment. I've not been back in there. But yeah, I want to do podcasting. I want to get on the Clubhouse rooms. I'm decentralizing at the moment because of freedom of speech issues. I don't know. Did I say I can't even speak properly? Freedom of speech. Actually, that's probably good. Try speech like this, and nobody's gonna censor my shit, and you guys will still understand what I'm saying, but the artificial intelligence won't. Do you get that? So literally me just saying that, like, that could end up getting it. But never mind. But yeah, decentralization movement is happening. It's happening globally, as in like financially, with media. Yeah, some big changes happening. It's a really exciting time to be alive. There's this awakening that's happening. Either it's because of the technical revolution we're going through with enhancements with AI and the tools that we have, robotics taking more jobs, and so it means that more people, human beings, are going to struggle. It's probably one of the reasons why I'm so careful about what I'm going to say. I can't say what I want to say. So anyway, I'm not going to say anything. The things I want to say are why I'm decentralizing, because then I can actually be in my own platform and I can say whatever I like within my private group, the Personal Freedom Movement as well. We do private Zoom calls there where we can get together and have little blast masterminds, mind dumps. The Reboot 22 mission is in its first week, and I've got a lot of work to do there in catching up with people, supporting them, and creating. I've created the content. Now I've got to populate it in somewhere where they can all get to it, and then start allowing you other guys that are on the channels to actually have access to some of that stuff as well, if you want, without actually having to do a long program with something that you're fully invested in. So that's cool, and that's exciting to set that stuff up as well. It's good to share. So we're evolving, people. We're evolving. Yeah, we are. Right, I need to go because I've just seen that the hypno session that I did has just downloaded. So it means I need to go in and do some editing and sending that off to people and all that fun stuff. So if you want a bit of relaxation in your life, if you want to learn more about what's going on in our mind and bodies and why we suffer in the way that we do, just go back and watch that again. Or you can actually get something where I'm like literally reading more from like a script. It's a lot more sciencey, a lot more in depth, a lot more stories and anecdotes in there. But I like mixing it up. And considering I said, what was it, like about 7 minutes ago, I'm going to go now, and now I've just waffled for 7 minutes. This is half the reason why I need to have a structure. Anyway, thanks for jumping on. Love you guys loads. And yeah, chuck in a hashtag replay, join a group. If you need any support, just throw me up a DM. I'll get back to you when I can. Toodles, you big old noodles. Remember, your mind's always listening, taking orders from you. You are super, super powerful, and you've got everything you need within you to be happy, successful, to be loved. Everyone's worthy of love. So don't let anybody else, first of all, actually, don't let anyone else tell you what you should or shouldn't be. First, you're you, and you can't be anybody else. So don't worry about anybody else. Everyone's individual. Everyone else is taken. So don't try and mimic someone. Just celebrate and be yourself. Just do it in an ethical way. Be kind. Help people. What a way to go. We've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. So I listen to my own advice. Listen twice as much as you speak. And love yourself freely. So I'll speak to you all soon, guys. Remember, there's so much we can do. We can change our state. We can do relaxation techniques. We can go within. We go within to our happiness. Otherwise, we'll probably go without. Take care, guys. Bye.